Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you some of the process and work that went into creating this latest commission that I worked on and kind of walk you through everything. It was a really tedious commission, but I'm glad I did it. I learned so much and I'm excited to share that with you guys. Jumping in with the pattern, I went ahead and used a 3x circle skirt that I drafted, tested it out. I have a few projects using this. Aside from that, I used the 2 dart center front and center back bodice pieces that I drafted myself using the body tape method for the dolls. I'll link my video series above that teaches you how to do it yourself. Aside from that, I drafted my own with a squared neckline, which was what the client requested. Everything that's in this dress was requested by the client. It was their design. Well, it's not their design, it was on this anime character, but they commissioned me to be with ideas and how they wanted it, and we're just following exactly what they asked for. And anything that I added was definitely approved by them, so just clearing that up for anyone who's wondering. But yeah, so it's only lined at the bodice for those of you wondering, and since it's a 3x circle skirt, which means that it's the length of the waistline for the doll 3 times over, it made it a little difficult to add a lining for the skirt or anything else, since it would definitely add a lot of bulk to the waistline and just kind of change it up. Doll scale is a lot smaller, and you have to take into consideration bulk a lot more seriously. So that was the reason why we didn't add a lining to the skirt. So at this point of the video, I have sewn the sleeve holes and the neckline of the lining and the fashion fabric together, and leaving an opening at the sleeves, the little straps. And then, this is a little trick I learned in school, you pull out the right sides of the front, and then you kind of, with the wrong sides facing out, you kind of like sandwich in the other sleeve, and then you stitch over it, and it becomes like a really nice sleeve with a lot less bulk, and it just easier to sew, in my opinion, and it's more sturdy, I think. So that's how that went through. I have another video where I use this. I believe it's my Minju Kim video where I use a similar strap sewing method, so if you'd like to see that in depth, I will link that above as well. So once you pull out the little straps, all you have to do is sew the side seams, and then you have like a really clean armhole that's super easy to sew and very resistant. So you could even top stitch that, but I didn't do that. It just didn't want to take away from the look of the top of the bodice, so that was that. So since we only worked with a yard of this yellow fabric, that's all I was sent. I had a misunderstanding with the client, because I referenced heavily the picture they sent me, so I took into consideration the length of that skirt, which ended at the ankles. So when he mentioned a yard, I was like, that's perfectly fine, but I don't think he considered that. He just it wasn't mentioned, so we didn't really talk about that, so it was just a misunderstanding on both of our ends. So that is why the circle skirt is in 4 pieces, and it has selvage on one end on the back side, but it worked out perfectly. It was pure magic. I don't know how it worked, but here is the picture before I attached the skirt, and that is how it looked. The bodice all ironed. Alright, so to sew the skirt, I went ahead and matched up the right sides of the bodice and the skirt, pinned them together nicely. Then I ran them through my machine, but for the lining, I will not be doing that. I will be using hand stitching. I will be using a slip stitch or a hidden stitch, whatever you'd like to call it. It has many names, which is the hidden stitch that just is used a lot in sewing and couture and stuff like that. It's very time consuming, even for me, and I've done it a lot of times, but it's promises a great finish, and I highly recommend it. It looks amazing. So yeah, so here's a little time lapse of that, and I'll be back once it's done. So once I finished sewing the lining, this is kind of how it looked. Nothing on the front, it looks perfectly fine, and the back is fully sewn. So that's basically the goal with hidden stitches or the slip stitch. It's to have hidden stitches and make sure it's not noticeable where it's sewn. But now we're all set to start sewing our lace, and that's what you can see on the camera on the video right now. It was a lot of lace. It was about 4 yards of lace. It was a lot. And aside from that, we spent about a week and a half having me try out different designs of lace and sewing them and methods and stuff, and it was really time consuming, but definitely just as rewarding. So what you see me doing in the video now is hand stitching all the ruffles on the sleeve, and I do that with the same trim that's on the neckline. So that's that. And in this clip, it's not even sewn yet, it's just pinned on, but I just wanted to show you the whole ribbon function with the lace in the front on the bust and how it functions, how it can move around. You could make the bow bigger, smaller, longer, move the ruffles to the back, to the front, whatever you want to do. It's very versatile and it's such a cute little feature, and I'm so happy I came up with it, and I hope the client likes it just as much. Now for the skirt, that was not handsome, it was sewn by machine, as you can see on video, and that trim for the skirt was the one that took forever. It was the longest piece of lace I have ever sewn in my life, and then I had to thread it with ribbon, so it was just a lot of work. So I'm glad to have finished it. Moving on to the closures, I did use the eyes of Hook and Eyes, just the eyes, pure eyes here, only to add like a lace up corset like closure at the back to keep everything more sturdy and have like more room for bigger bust sizes if that's an option the client wants, which I'm not even sure works, so I shouldn't be saying that. Maybe even like a smaller bust, or even like the push-up medium one, that would even work. But it was just a theory, and just to see if you wanted to layer something under, there'd be a little more room for space and stuff like that. So all the eyelets were fully hand stitched as well, so that is how they look. And I did 8 in total, 4 on each side, and I added another set of Hook and Eyes at the bottom of the skirt, like kind of where the skirt starts, under the stand hole, just to make sure it closes when the dress is on, and it's has like a nice back closure with nothing popping out, nothing showing. So now that it's fully sewn right here, I'm trying it on for the first time, and I will be showing you how I laced it up. So after confirming everything with the client, trying the dress on, and making sure everything's perfect, I went ahead and prepared it to have it shipped back to the client and, you know, hear back from him and see what he has to say. So in here there's a few things that he sent me, like the hat and the lace trims and everything to try out and to see how everything would work. The hat ended up not working on it, and the lace trims were all used, they were just experimental. And I also sent some little lace wrist little things that are right here are being worn by Jade, and a few other little things. So that sums up the end of the video. I'd like to thank you guys for watching and sticking around. If you'd like to see more of this content, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you could know whenever I upload. And please leave a comment, let me know what you think, anything you would have done differently. And yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.